It's Chords and Coffee, and we are coming to the close of 2024. And this is, if you're watching this upon the premiere, and which, by the way, if you don't do this already, you should totally join in to the live chat that we do every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time, right here on YouTube. I'm on the live chat right now. If you're on the live chat, say, Lord have mercy, I'm on the live chat. Here we are, right? It's fun, and people talk, and you get to know some really amazing folks out there. The Chords and Coffee cabinet, as we have come to call ourselves early in the morning, talking about what future episodes might be like, and just lots of funny comments from lots of wonderful people. So live chat is happening, and if you're watching this now, you know that we're getting ready to start a brand new year. And this song, Auld Lang Syne, from the famous Scottish poet Robert Burns. This may be in the top 5 nostalgic, certainly in the top 5 Christmas songs. Even though it's New Year's Eve, it's still, you know, it gets grafted onto the Christmas season because it is about starting all over and remembering times gone by. And I thought it kind of fitting. This is a 1963 ES 125T. And so I was like, I need to grab a cool old guitar off the sales floor and play this beautiful old song. So we are looking at the Real Christmas Book by Leonard, and this is an arrangement of Auld Lang Syne. And if you've been watching these Christmas videos, you know that we've been talking a lot about what makes these Christmas songs so nostalgic. And we've also been talking about, and this is my opinion, but there's some of the chord changes in here that kind of make, kind of turn my head a little bit. Like I wouldn't have done that. And this one has a couple that I want to highlight, and then there's an ending on here that I'm like, man, I don't know about that. We'll get to that in a second. So again, most Christmas songs, something that makes a Christmas song Christmassy is a diminished 7. And this song, a diminished 7 chord. And this song has several of them, and we'll get to that. It's in the key of F, like a lot of songs in that book, and my hunch is that's a good kind of easy to sing key, but it's also a nice key for all the B-flat instruments like clarinet, tenor saxophone, trumpet, and that kind of thing. So maybe it's in the key of F for that reason. And the last thing I'll say before we get started on it is that if you enjoy this kind of content and you enjoy these lessons, please hit the subscribe button. When you hit that subscribe button, it is like you are voting for this thing to continue on into the future. So please hit that subscribe button. All right, so let's jump into it. It's going to start out on an F6, okay? Now, what's a little interesting about that choice is that the melody is C, F, and for most F6 voicings, you don't have the F on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this kind of like as though you were playing it accompanying a vocalist. Now with that, sometimes in the vocal melody, there'll be a note that isn't native to that chord, and that's okay. That little rub that happens when those moments occur are actually quite beautiful, so we don't want to shy away from that. But if you are going to play the vocal melody in a solo guitar sort of chord arrangement of this song, got to take that in consideration. So some of the chord names may need to change a little bit. So we're going to start with the C, and you can play an octave here, should, oh, and by the way, if you're doing this like at a gig or at a party or something, that's a pretty important thing. If you wanted to convert that to a chord, which it's not in this book, but I'll give you this for free, you could play like a B flat over C is a good way to should all, and you'll launch right into it. And so what is that chord? Well, that's just going to be a index finger on the 3rd fret of the A, and I'm laying that straight across from the A all the way to the high E, and this is a B flat over C. And if you're playing all of them, since it's got a G in there, it's going to be a B flat 6 over C, should, and then oh. And now this F6, I'm gonna start down here. I'm going to work my way up here because as I look ahead, there is an alt chord coming. Sometimes you'll see a dominant 7 chord that has the letters ALT next to it. And what that means is it needs the sharp 5, the flat 5, the sharp 9, and the flat 9. Basically all of the things you can jibber jab with that dominant 7. And this is real close to that. It's a B7 sharp 5 flat 9. And the reason I'm even bringing this up now is because I know we're going to that. I want to kind of work my way up to a really nice voicing of that to highlight it, okay? So we're going to F6, index finger on the first fret of the low E. I'm skipping the A. I'm going to have my ring finger on the third fret of the D. I'm going to have my middle finger on the second fret of the G. Pinky's going to be on the third fret of the B. So should all acquaintance. And on this, if you want to really announce to the world, hey, we're going to jazz this up, you might kind of slide into that from C sharp to this D minor here, or D flat minor 7 if you want to think of it that way too, same thing. And so we go from this F6 to this D minor 7, index finger on the 5th fret, from the A to the high E. You're going to have your middle finger on the 6th fret of the B, and then your ring finger on the 7th fret of the D. Those old P90s every now and then get a little buzz to them. That's the warm sound of nostalgia, friends. All right, and then from there, you're going to get a G minor 7, and that's just going to be index finger on the low E all the way to the high E, and then ring finger on the 5th fret of the A, and then to a C7. Let's see if that's better. Maybe. I don't know, Jordan's the guy operating the camera, and he's looking at me going, that guitar's buzzy. Well, it's the end of the year. It's been a hard year. All right. Might also be the cable. I don't know. We're going to soldier on here. I know I was buzzing. I forgot I got metal in my arm. Just kind of a fun fact from your old buddy Nate. Jordan, I don't know if you can see that scar right there. That right there has a piece of titanium holding that together, and then there's a little scar right here holding that together. Fell 16 feet, almost died. I'm a walking miracle. But got metal in my arm. And every now and then, I get a little of that action. We don't charge extra for that. That's for free. All right, so you got a G minor 7 after that. You got a C7. The C7 is going to be index finger on the A string on the 3rd fret from A to high E. Boom. And then you're going to have your ring finger on the 5th fret of the D, pinky on the 5th fret of the B. Right? So real quick recap. Should all acquaintance be forgotten? If that slide doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. Should all acquaintance be forgotten? And now on this F6 that's coming up, instead of coming back here, and never brought to mind. If you don't play the melody, it'd be like that. But this F6, we've talked about this shape before in the 6 chord video that we did. This is going to be middle finger on the A string of the 8th fret. Index finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the D and the G, kind of making a little mini bar. And then your pinky is going to hit the 10th fret of the B. And that's an F6. That's kind of one of my favorite voicings of that. And you're going to go, never brought to... Now, why am I playing an F7 or an F9 instead of an F7? Whenever you see a dominant 7 chord, for the most part, you can play a 9 chord instead. A 9 chord is a dominant 7 chord that just has the 9 or the 2nd. And if you're like, well, what's the difference? Well, a 9 would suggest that that note is actually an octave above the root, and a 2nd would suggest it's in the same octave as the root. So in this case, I'm playing my middle finger on the A string of the 8th fret, index fingers on the 7th fret of the D, and then ring finger is going to lay on the G, the B, and the high E of the 8th fret. Never brought to, and then on the word to, this is that B7, sharp 5, flat 9. Now you might be looking at that going, Lord have mercy. What does that mean? Well, a B7, so it's a B7 chord, but it needs a sharp 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It needs a G. So that, and then it also needs a flat 9. A 9 is the same as a 2, so a 2 in B is C sharp, but it's flat now, so it's C natural, so you need this. Played the wrong bass note there. And whenever you see what's called an altered chord like that, another way to kind of teach yourself to think about it, not just what chord to play, but also what scale to play. And we can unpack that if you want, but that's a whole, I think that's a whole Chords and Coffee episode, is that you want to play the 13 chord of the tritone. So in this case, B's tritone is F natural. and I was just playing that F9, and to make it an F13, you just basically play an F9 chord, and you add your pinky to the 10th fret. But we don't want that. We just want the flat 9. So I'm going to basically think of that as an F9 chord with B in the bass. So index finger on the 7th fret of the low E, skipping the A, middle finger on the 7th fret of the D, and then ring finger is going to be on the 8th fret of the G, the B, and the high E. So literally just like that F9, which is B in the bass. And never brought to mind. Now this, you got a B flat major 7. What I would call, if I'm playing an accompaniment, I would play it like this, right? And that's going to be index finger on the 6th fret of the low E, and then ring finger on the 7th fret of the D, pinky on the 7th fret of the G, and then middle finger on the 6th fret of the B. But if I want to hit that melody, or even if I just want to emphasize it, I might do this guy here where I'm only using 3 fingers, and I've got my index finger on the 6th fret of the low E, I'm skipping the A, and I'm skipping the D, and then I've got my middle finger on the 7th fret of the G string, so I got root and major 3rd, and then I've got my pinky on the 10th fret of the high E. So I've really got a B flat and a D octave. Well, Nate, that's not a full chord, but it sounds good. Mission accomplished, all right? So, and then this, the Christmas chord, isn't it? I don't know, comment below. Don't you think, like, I've been thinking about this, what makes a song a Christmassy song? Me and my buddy Mike, we're downstairs on the sales floor, and we were looking at that, it's Christmas time again. That Tom Petty song. I almost, maybe I should do a Chords and Coffee on that. Comment below. It might have to be next year, because time's running down here. But that song has that beautiful diminished 7 chord in it. That may be the thing that makes a song a Christmassy song. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts. All right, so moving on. So we're now at this place where we've just did this this beautiful little walk down here of this chord sequence to get to this 4 chord on the major 7, and then now here comes the diminished 7 chord. It's going to be, since we're already here, why don't we go ahead and make this B diminished 7 right here with your middle finger on the 7th fret of the low E, skipping the A. Index finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the D, the G, and the B. And then my ring finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the G. Now, the next chord, this is the first moment where I'm like, I get it, but I don't know that I like it. And I'll tell you what it is. It's an F major 7, love that, but they have it over C. And if I'm just, that kind of, I get it, I don't know that I love it, I don't know that I hate it. It's just a spice I don't normally throw in my stew, but there it is. And so how do we make this? Well, F major 7 over C. What we're going to do is we're going to take our index finger, we're going to lay it from the low E to the high E, and we're going to, on the 8th fret, and then we're going to build a major, just this little, major 7 shape underneath here, which is essentially an A minor, right? It's going to be on the ring finger is going to be on the 10th fret of the D, middle finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the G, and then pinky is going to be on the 10th fret of the B. And in this case, if we're trying to keep the melody in this, the melody is on the top, is actually that C note. And so it's going to be on your high E too, or your high E as well. But it's growing on me the more I play it. And then we go to D minor 7. Now we got some choices to make. Do we continue to move forward? Because essentially, this is why this is happening, right? But I don't want to do that because I'm kind of wrapping up the first verse of this song. So I think I'm going to jump back to the D minor 7 we did just a second ago. So I got, should all acquaintance. That feels right to me because that feels like, okay, we're, you know what I mean? Hey, come on, D minor 7. What are you going to do? Right? That's what it feels like. I haven't even started my coffee yet. Jordan, come on, man. I get a hold of this old Scottish poetry and I just get fired up. I'm dripping. It's the end of the year. Why not? We're here to have fun. Okay. So we're back to D minor 7. And then now G minor 7. We already did it. And then we already did C7. So these are all old familiar friends, just like the song would suggest. And then guess what? Here it comes again, another diminished 7 chord. Let's invite them to the party. This is going to be middle finger on the 4th fret of the A. It's going to be ring finger on the 5th fret of the D, index finger on the 3rd fret of the G, pinky on the 5th fret of the B. And then back to good old G minor. Oh yeah, or excuse me, D minor 7. And then G minor 7, then C7, F6. All your friends and family right back at you. So just a quick recap after. And ever brought to mind should all acquaintance G minor 7 to C7, C sharp diminished 7, G minor 7. Da, da. Now check this out. Here's how we turn it around. 4. Now what's interesting about that, on that C7 sharp 5, the melody note is a D. Where we're going, right? And in that chord, whoops, we're not playing that. And if I wanted to play that, I'd have to do, which is gorgeous. I'll give it to you both ways. So the accompaniment version, if you will, index finger on the 8th fret of the low E, middle finger on the 8th fret, skipping the A, middle finger on the 8th fret of the D, and then ring finger on the 9th fret of the G, pinky on the 9th fret of the B. That's a C7 sharp 5. The sharp 5 is a G sharp. G is the 5th of C. If we sharp it, it's a G sharp. No mystery there. Love it. Now, if we're gonna add that D note, which is great, we're gonna have to take our ring finger and make a little tiny bar there on the G and the B. And then put your pinky on the 10th fret of the high E. And then back to that F major 7. Now, we're clear up here almost to the top of the neck. So we got to head this way, right? So we've got F major 7 is going to be on the 8th fret of the A string all the way to the high E. I think we did this one already, but here it comes again. And then ring finger is going to be on the 10th fret of the D. Middle finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the G. Pinky on the 10th fret of the B. Oh, and then just down here to D minor 7. So shoot for Auld Lang Syne. D minor 7, G minor 7, C7. The old familiar cast. But then check this out. Remember how we just did that C7 sharp 5 right here? Now we have a G flat 7 sharp 5, which is interesting. And why is that interesting? Well, we're on a C7, and that's going to be on the word 4. Now the melody note there is a D, so it makes sense because if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bruh. I can't believe I sang the wrong notes and played them at the same time with that much confidence. It's time for a cup of coffee. Here we go, all right. Let's go, or maybe I don't need any more coffee. Who knows? This is kind of what you get on a Chords and Coffee episode. So you got this G flat 7 sharp 5. The 5th is normally a C sharp. To sharp it would make it a D natural, right? But also, you see what's happening there? There's that tritone thing again. There's a C to an F sharp. And so we're on a C7. And again, you could play a C9 there and it would be totally fine. And then that's kind of another tritone substitution moment there, because if you look at this chord, index finger on the low E of the 2nd fret, skipping the A, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D, and then ring finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the G, pinky is going to be on the 3rd fret of the B. If I take my index finger off and I put if I switch around here and I put my middle finger down on that C note, there's that C9. So that's another really cool example of that tritone substitution there. Isn't that nice? And then so since we're here, we might as well go here. But now we got an F7. And then we got another B7 sharp 5. And we can voice it like this. And then maybe do that. Let's try it. I'm going to give it to you, then I'm going to give you another way to do it because that's a little precarious. So after this G7 sharp 5, we go to F major 7. That's going to be index finger here on the first fret, skipping the A. You're going to build an A minor underneath that where you have your ring finger on the second fret of the D, pinky's on the second fret of the G, middle finger's on the first fret of the B, and then to an F7. Now at this point, on this F7, index finger on the low E to the high E on the first fret, and then you're going to build an E chord underneath it. So you're going to have your ring finger on the third fret of the A, skipping the D. Index or middle finger is going to be on the second fret of the G. Now, if you want to put your pinky down here on the fourth fret of the B, that might be advantageous because this moves to this thing. Actually, that won't work. Scratch that. That dog won't hunt. All right, so if you're here, I mean, you could get anything to work, but you've got this B7, and so we're going to build old Folsom Prison B7 right here, middle finger on the second fret of the A, index finger on the first fret of the D, and then ring finger on the second fret of the G, and then index finger is going to lay on the C note of the first fret of the B, and then pinky's going to go on the G of the high E, third fret, and then to this B flat major 7, if you want to do that, or like that. Let's do it this way. Index finger on the first fret from the A to the high E, and then I've got my ring finger on the third fret of the D. My middle finger is on the second fret of the G. Pinky is on the B string of the third fret. I don't know if I can get down with that. Let's see. This is me kind of in real time thinking about this. If I work through that, I might make that work. But it wouldn't be crazy or even a bad idea to, I keep wanting to play at C minor 7, to work your way back up. And if you do that, Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for if you do it that way, F major 7, up here to the F9. That's a leap, but it doesn't sound awful. It sounds actually kind of nice. So if I do that, I'm just going to come right back here and make that F9 like I did a second ago, and do that B7, sharp 5, sharp 9, just like I did a second ago, to the B flat major 7, and then again, B diminished 7, and then all the same familiar friends. Take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. Now, when they get to the end of this tune, they have A flat 6 over F, G flat major 7 over F to F6. So I just tuned my low E up to F so you could hear, like, so this would be for Auld Lang Syne. That sounds like that was a rough year. You know what I mean? Like the crops did not come in. Not my favorite ending, Hal Leonard. I love you. You have taught me a lot, and you have taught me well. That one, and maybe there's some voicings. I bet you there's somebody out there watching this right now going, yeah, you're not playing it right. And you are correct. I'm not, because that doesn't, even if I do it up here, because the A flat 6 is essentially an F minor chord, right? A variation on an F minor. And then to this G flat major 7. And maybe that's the intention. Having like some, I don't know, bittersweet, like, you know, like a lament at the end. Anyway, that's not how I would do it. Hey, you may be sitting there going, Nate, I don't know what you're talking about. I think that sounds great. Well, here's those chords real quick. The A flat 6 over F is essentially an F minor. So there's that. And then the B flat minor that I have pictured here is another way to think about G flat major 7 over F is pretty much B flat minor
over F, and then of course F6. And if you tune your low E string up to an F, you can get those voicings that I just played a second ago.
I would just end it on a G minor, dun, dun, on just a good old, either F, F6, F major 7, something like that. And call it a day. And of course you're going to sing this at least 5, if not 10 or 20 times, and just keep looping it. It's a beautiful song. I love it. It's something that always makes you feel great. What else can I say about Auld Lang Syne other than we've had a great year here at Chords and Coffee. It's been a wonderful year. That's why I can't end it on a bunch of minor chords, right? You guys make it that way. I really am just grateful, and I'm proud of the community that we're building. And if you're just jumping on board, we're glad to have you. Absolutely. And if you don't know, we do this every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. And we got a saying we say around here. We're living life the best we can with a guitar in our hand. God bless you, friends. Let's have an amazing 2025, and we'll see you next Saturday for another Chords and Coffee.